The winning point for pole, which is a new feature of our championship, because if you are the fastest qualifier, you get 1 point, so that adds into your race points. Allocated as 25, 20, 16, 13, 11 and so on, the FIM points allocation. So there we go, good start, like it from Scott Moyer, much better drive away than the Fujitsu Suzuki next to him, so good work. Let's keep our eye on Moyer. I think he's going to take it as we head into that top corner. Go Scott Moyer. Has he got the run on that Penny Holmes bike? And no, I don't think so, but we'll get a better update. Hard to see because they're perfectly going away from us when they go to the Invercargill Oil Shop Caltex Loop here at Teretonga, the home of the world's most southern racetrack, as we look for the update. It's a beautiful swarm and they come round through the corner, and Leicester, look, John Ross it is. John Ross has got that advantage. Looking back there to Moyer in second place, going then to yes, do I see the red underneath? Oh, I don't know whether that was Andrew. Oh, hard to know. Might have been Sloane Frost and back in third place. So cool to watch, certainly in a Suzuki domination, as we've known with our superbikes. 3 riders, bit of a gap to another 3. Make that 4 that are into a group there. All the others so close. After all, it is the opening lap. Super hot to watch as we're keen to check it out. John Ross, if he's done that from the second row. That is absolutely awesome. He wasn't one of those on the front row of our racing program, so great to watch out there as we go racing. And John Ross to keep it all together. So John Ross the advantage. Go to Scott Moyer, Sloane Frost, Jake Lewis in there with Andrew Stroud. So again, Suzuki's in our top 5 ahead of Tony Rees, Al Hugenboozem, James Smith from Toby Summers, and Dylan Telford up there. So Toby and Dylan, remembering now the 2 super stock, that is more standard in motorcycles, but also in the 1000cc category, superbike eligibility. So there we go with John Ross. Look for Scott Moyer, then going to the third place now with Sloane Frost. Keen to look out for Andrew Stroud back in 5th place. If he's going to win Spider Staples, that's going to be an incredible place to win from. He's done it many times before, remembering, and this is 20 laps too.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, my heart's in with John Ross there. As I say, that Scotty Moyer closes right up on him and almost side by side with him, but John Ross got the fastest lap in the last race, but just couldn't get the drive onto the corner. But I talked to his father Larry, part of the pit crew there, and they said they made some changes, and maybe that's changed. But here we go, Scotty Moyer flies through there. There's a bike, half a bike length here. In fact, 13,000 to the second between first and second, with Sloane Frost in that mix, and you can't even see 3 bikes going into the big loop here at Teretonga. They spread out a little bit, and what a massive breakaway these front 3 bikes got. But look at that pack of 6 bikes out there in the 4th, 5th to 7th and 8th place. It's a massive back there. A couple of Hondas amongst that lot as well. A couple of Hondas further than they were last season. In fact, the 3 Hondas together, it is Tony Rees, and I think that is
Andrew's out the front of that
James Smith in behind that, and Alistair Hugenboozem on the 43 machine there in 3rd place on those 3 Hondas. But look at the gap that Scotty Moyer's opened up. Absolutely sensational. That's about 60 metres maybe as they close up into the tight corner coming onto the front straight. It's all about the drive coming on the straight, front straight as well here at Teretonga. Massive advantage if you can get your bike set up well. But there it is, John Ross in second place. Sloane Frost is coming through. He wants some more points this weekend. He's had not the dream weekend he had last weekend. 3 perfect wins last weekend, but not quite on fire so much this weekend. But he is still solidifying his points lead here at the New Zealand Superbike Championships.
All right, 2013 World Junior or European Cup, they officially called it. It's the equivalent of our World Junior of road racing, and our own Kiwi, Jake Lewis, one of the most outstanding rides by a Kiwi in modern times. And here he is now with his superbike debut. Was only to do it as super stock, but by changes that he's made to the bike, has actually made it ineligible for super stock and put it to superbike. And I'll tell you what, now that he knows he's amongst these guys and racing with them, he's certainly done that proud. He has been overtaken since the start of the race by Andrew Stroud, but nothing to be worried about, as he still stays in front of Rees, Hugenboozem and Smith, all on their respective Hondas. So great work out there to watch them as we go racing. And I'll tell you what, this Scott Moyer show, looking fabo in front, and John Ross, where did he come from? Second row, that is good. And there we go, 1, 2, 3, then you've got the gap back, and here it is now with Stroud. All the changes there now, and Tony Rees has moved up. Rees has gone to 5th place, with Lewis back to 6th, followed by Hugenboozem, Smith, Toby Summers, Ray Clee, James Hugenboozem back there on the fabulous BMW M1 Motorsport S1000RR with Dylan Telford, Aaron Smith, Kev Beaumont and Bill Moffat. And this time we don't have a John Beck in our lineup, and John, if you recall, last time did not finish the last Superbike. I get the idea some problems with him. I've seen him out of racing, so bad luck for John, but hopefully an opportunity to get him back on a racetrack soon. So well done to the local hero, courtesy of Top Cars and Commercial, keen motorcyclist, a sponsor, a great car man, and putting it back into the sport with his support of racing here today.
I did have a chat to John Beck in the pits. I said, how's it going? He said, I'm just not feeling like racing, so that's why he pulled out. His head wasn't in it, and of course you've got to have your head in the right place because it is a serious sport. It can play for keeps, so he's elected to park up and watch the weekend. So I don't think he's got machine problems, it's just getting his head round it. There we go, increasing the lead by 0.6 of a second. Scotty Moyer into the 58.4s, a 58.555 for John Ross, just a little bit quicker, a 58.522 for Sloane Frost, and it's playing out on the track. You see them coming out of the big loop here at Teretonga, and it is Moyer, number 7 on the Penny Holmes sponsored Moto GT Suzuki GSXR 1000. This is not Jaden Hassan's bike from last season that won the New Zealand Superbike Championship. So he's got the goods, he's got the ability, and he's just gelled with this track absolutely sensationally.
Well, I think that certainly it was sort of like a hand in a sock rather than in a glove, because it was out of sorts last weekend, and he's showing much better performance. In fact, I think he wasn't even in the top 5 after a wrap of Ruapuna last week, but he's travelled here and hasn't done too many trips for this venue. But here he is, the man from Taupo, and a high-flying performance on that Promoto supported bike as well. There he goes, Scott, then John, then we go to Sloane. Sloane third so far today. Will he get 3 of them in a row and still keep his points going? Certainly an opportunity to do so, and keen to look out those points so far, having been the 3 rounds we saw at Sloane with the 76, and John Ross was 16 points behind him after last week. John will have had less points than Sloane's got this weekend, so in actual fact Sloane has been increasing his lead, even though he's been losing it, but luckily for his point, losing it to lesser riders who weren't on that top scale. So well done today to Scott and Andrew. Their improvement has been great to watch. So really we've seen quite a rejostle of our class, and Spider going to levels next week. That's a cornering kind of track. We've seen good performances there from Scott in the past. I'm expecting Scott Moyer to be as good at at levels next week.
Yeah, Scotty Moyer's had 3 New Zealand Superbike Championships wins over the season. His first one was at levels, and expecting strong things. I hope James Smith will come on form for levels as well. He's had a win in the same weekend as did Scotty Moyer as well, so had a very, very tight track there, so hopefully it's going to play out all right. I'll tell you who's struggling out there at the moment is Dylan Telford, runner 0, a soft compound tyre in the last race, and I believe they managed to find an extra for this, but I've been watching him every lap going through the Macaulay Ford corner, and every lap bar one his back end is stepping out, so the man's got a lot of experience in superbike racing. He's been doing it for about 4 seasons. I remember 2 seasons ago the other superbike riders congratulating, saying you haven't been lapped at all during the season. He's now elected to do the Superstock class, but he is struggling with tyres. Another shout out to number 85 there, and it is James Hugenboosum there on the M1 Motorsport BMW. Now this team's been around for several years and had a number of wins with various riders on these BMWs. They're further down the field than they normally are, but I'll tell you what, looking at the team of Moggy, the team owner, and Noel the mechanic, they just seem to have bigger smiles than they've had for the last few years, except when they've won. They just seem to be so happy with James Hugenboosum's performance on the BMW. Not getting the results they quite want, but still out there winding the throttle as hard as they can and enjoying themselves. So here we go, the lead pack comes into the Castrol corner, and Sloane Frost has got through there into he's got through there into second spot. He's in there in second spot, and he's right on the tail of Scotty Moyer, and right on the tail of Scotty Moyer. A 58.7 last lap for Scotty, a 58.33 for Sloane Frost, and a 58.55, so 0.4 of a second quicker Sloane Frost on that last lap. Then Scotty Moyer talked to Scotty Moyer and says, congratulations on your win yesterday, and congratulations on your fabulous ride. He said, amateur mistake at the end of it. He said he let Stroudy through and says, but that's what Stroudy's good on. I take my hat off to anyone that can lead a race so long, and despite being pipped for second, good on you, Scotty Moyer. But right now there, we may see another win out of the Penny Holmes Suzuki from the Taupo area. The man that also, I was saying which wins he'd had before. He had a win at Timaru, then he went on and won on his home track and set a lap record at Taupo a couple of years. Of course, he picked it for his 3rd win yesterday here in the New Zealand Superbike Championships over the years. So a massive effort from Scotty Moyer. But look out, Sloane Frost, the current points leader, is in behind you at the moment. In fact, is with John Ross sitting there in 3rd place with the Batubo suspension bike as well in 3rd place. And we go back to Andrew Stroud. Currently on the tail of him is Tony Rees on the first of the Hondas, and then we go back and it's Jake Lewis, the first of the well, no, he's not his Supersport 600, he's Superstock. He's now a Superbike rider on the 29 machine.
108, and Kev Beaumont just goes past us here. Kev, in addition to our field, part of our Superbike B lineup, courtesy of Bosbits, Ducati, Dukic Suspension, Metzler Tyres, Total Oil Engineering with Shirai Batteries, the man from of all places, TR now on his Ducati BK1. So great effort by Kev Beaumont. Love his commitment here to South of the Motorcycle and travelling out of TR now to be part of this ILT Foundation Superbike action. Remembering a 20 lapper, and this is now 10 just completed at this point, so right on the halfway mark. That is Scott Moyer in first place. Go to Sloane Frost to second. We've got John Ross in third as that trio sets the field like 0.6 of a second from first to third. That's how close they are as we drop back to 6 seconds with Andrew Stroud. Tony on his tail at only 1/10 behind him, so close and exciting there, and that's going to keep Andrew very honest. But the fact that those three have broken clear, I don't see Andrew getting up to push those top three. But all of a sudden, when you just see that you can get Chopper, the nickname for Sloane Frost, on the tail of Scotty Moyer, that all of a sudden we see coming along the front straight that Scott's opened it up again. So Scott really loves the exit out of the elbow down here, and he's really getting the drive and heading along the straight in a positive fashion before we see it close up. On saying that, here it is a little bit closer that time, and close to what you betcha it is at 1/10 this time. Scott, Sloane and John, they're spied up.
All right, we've almost got to change of position there for fourth place. We've got Andrew Stroud, the 48-year-old, followed by Tony Rees, the 48-year-old. Number 10, and that's Stroudy, and number 11, that is Tony Rees. And there might be a change of position there, you know, but I remember sometimes at the end of the race, Stroudy comes on strong. But how many years has Tony Rees been around the sport? He'll come on strong as well. A massive battle on there in behind them with that, I think, is James Smith on the 77 machine leading that group. Jake Lewis there and in behind him, and followed by Toby Summers on the Superstock 1000, the Kawasaki, the Barnes Jenkins Insurance, Mad Love Benia sponsored Kawasaki 1000, the 22 machine. He's been in 600 Supersport for a number of years. He was the only man that could break the Hugenbosom jinx last year. The Alistair and James Hugenbosom dominated the season, with the exception of Toby Summers managed to come through, I think, in Taupo and got a couple of race wins as well. So decided to move up to the, was going up to Superbikes, but decided on the Superstock class with the 2016 Kawasaki. Jake Lewis passes through there. Jake Lewis goes through, and did he take Toby Summers or did he take Alistair Hugenbosom? He took Alistair Hugenbosom there across the start finish line. The gap's closing up out in the lead. The gap is closing up. It is Sloane Frost, 2 bike lengths back to third, and Neil Ritchie.
Yeah, there we go. There's the change as well. Just making sure you can see it over there on Castrol, and look at that. Andrew Stroud back in front of Tony Rees. So just when Tony had got a good position, because remembering he was behind Stroud, he did a lot of work. He got in front of Stroudy. Stroudy's now just worked and taken him back again. So change confirmed for that fight for fourth place at the moment. So the top three all over each other. Very few changes. That's one thing about the speed they're going after all their times. 58.4, 58.3, 58.4 between those three riders. Super fast, super exciting. After all, it is ILT Superbikes. ILT Foundation supporting the community as again they go across with Scott, Sloane and John to go through. Suzuki all the way. Then looking out to Suzuki's Andrew Stroud, Honda's Tony Rees, as we then go to then the battle with the Al Hugenbosom against Jake Lewis. Go to Toby Summers up on James Smith, and then go to James Hugenbosom for a top 10 with the 11th place in there of Ray Clee. Always exciting to watch Ray, being a part of our sport for so long, courtesy of Team RCM, Ray Clee Motorcycles, Suzuki New Zealand, WP Suspension. That's GMD Computer Track, Suspect Impact Cycles DID, along with Dunlop HJC Berrigan City. So Ray Clee still doing it, as we love to see him in New Zealand Superbike road racing. But it is at the moment Scott, Sloane and John, remembering a 20 lapper, 13 gone. So there we are with 6. We're on the 14th at the moment, so 6 to run. Will it still be Scott to hang on to it over Sloane and John? Oh, so close, and the slip through. Good run now, look at that to the inside. Must be Sloane Frost, surely. He's got to make that stick. He had a brilliant slipstream and he had the momentum to go through. Yes, making it stick on the Invercargill Oil Shop Caltex loop, and Sloane Frost fighting his way back. He'd had 3 wins out of 3 from Ruapuna, never won at Ruapuna, got the bogey off his back, and now here he is for the first time leading a Superbike race at Teretonga. So he's got better, faster and stronger, and now has made it go all the way, as the 3 of them are only 0.5, that is 1/2 of 1 second from each other in any of the points you see there. So Sloane Frost effectively doing, but not quite the same as the man to have led more laps than anybody else, undoubtedly Scott Moyer, but Sloane Frost in fantastic race presence, really does fighting his way back, and here he is in the lead for the first time in this race, let alone any race here at the moment, and this will only go a long way towards climbing him to the top of the ladder and pushing him further past any of his competition. So look out for it. Sloane Frost, Scott Moyer, John Ross as we go to the update. 1, 2, 3. Is that any longer than 0.5? Yes, it's out to 0.7. 0.7 of a second, and that margin 0.2 up there for Scott. Good work. They've overtaken Kev Beaumont. There we go with Andrew Stroud. Now that Andrew's got past Tony Rees, he's now opened up a 2.2 second buffer, so that's quite big in terms, but I tell you what, to try and catch that trio with only 4 laps to go, Spider, I'd say nigh on impossible. But is Scott Moyer done yet, or can he fight back over Sloane Frost?
Well, he's a motocrosser with his background, so it might be the heavy braking, but not too many tight corners here at Teretonga, and there's this hairpin over the back, and of course there's the dog leg coming onto the front straight, but of course Sloane Frost has been dominant this season, won the Suzuki Series, and got a couple of guys in from Australia, Shane Kinderis, and I can't remember the other guy's name, I'm sorry, but they came over last season and set his bike up from it and got his brain in the right place, and it's been great to have them join him at the track this year, and certainly it has paid dividends, and Sloane's confidence must have skyrocketed from these boys. John Ross dropping off the pace there. It is still a battle for the first 2 bikes with 0.197, less than 0.2 of a second between the first 2. We're looking out. Stroud's got a huge buffer on Tony Rees. Don't know who's backed off there or who's sped up. Jake Lewis leads that pack. He leads the pack there on the first of the he's a superbike now, but he's just ahead of the Mad Love Media sponsored Barnes Jenkins Kawasaki 1000 with Toby Summers, the number 22 machine there, as they go round that massive loop, and the 2 Hondas in behind, the 2 Hondas of Alistair Hugenbosom and James Smith. Alistair Hugenbosom running the number 43, James Smith running the number 77, and absolutely spectacular superbike racing. Tyres, it's all about the tyres. We've got 20 laps, we've still got 4 to do. Now's the critical time. If somebody's overcooked it and just gone that little bit too hard, this might be the critical time where the tyres just go off that little bit. I think most of the guys are running the SC1s. The Zero is the best compound, the softest compound, but the SC1s there are probably what they're choosing, just that longevity here at the track that they call Terra Tyre, because it's so hard on tyres.
Well, here it is, 0.6 the advantage now, so it's dropped down by 1/10 of 1 second, so that's a credit to John Ross keeping up with that race pace, and I'll tell you what, and looking at that lead, the fight is 0.124, super close, super fast, super exciting, as we look out for the battles. They're coming around on the tail of the lapper. Look out for it this time, and Sloane, where's that back marker going? Sloane, he'll off. Sloane will get up on the inside. I'm sure he's going to be able to use a better advantage. That is nice to see, and looking out for Scott Moyer. Scott needs to get through there and get a clean run as we'll look for the exit of the Brickyard, the exit of Courtney. Yep, 1, 2, 3, there they go. They've got through the back marker, and this is the part that I enjoy seeing Scott Moyer, but I reckon he's just, I'll tell you what, Sloane Frost made the better of the back marker. He got him as the back marker had peeled over, and he was then able to go on the inside. In fact, he would not have lost a millisecond. I get the idea that a millisecond has been lost by Scott Moyer. So there we go, Sloane Frost, Scott Moyer, John Ross, 0.5. So John Ross, look out, John Ross looking better. A lap time in here at 58.33. What are we talking about with the unofficial lap records? We'd heard about the earlier, official, the 57.6 by Robbie Bugden. So there we go, 57.6. So almost a second off that, but I tell you what, still fantastic to watch. And these 3 guys still all over each other as we watch Scotty Moyer fighting back. I reckon Scotty can get closer, but I don't know whether he'll be able to get past. This is Sloane Frost showing us what he's made of. And more importantly, trying to show us whether he is going to be able to win the day. So what are we going to see from Sloane? We've got Scott with a 1-2, Andrew with a 1-2. Sloane, if he gets to win here in the set, or I'll tell you what, those points will be close to, and very hard to add up. We'll have to use our computer brain and try and get that one on board. But close and fast and exciting to watch. Can Sloane do it? In fact, I think Scott with his second might be better than, yes, he will be. So Scott with a second, he's going to take the win for the day if he can keep up this result at the moment. There we go. Oh, Scott, oh, look at that. Now John Ross on attack. John on attack. He's come up on the inside of Moyer. No, can't get there. Just pulls out at the last minute. Now look at at the point when they went past here, and by the way, white flag by the way. So we're on our last lap to rock here at the moment. Exceptional to see when these guys are putting on their brilliant best to watch superbike racing of this calibre here in little old New Zealand. And it is Sloane Frost in front from the number 7 of Scott Moyer looking out for the number 6 of John Ross. These guys all single digits from their racing last year. Of course, we've got number 1, Jaden Hassan, not returning to New Zealand Superbikes. We've got the number 2 in Dennis Charlotte, opting to race in smaller, lesser classes. A family man now, making more commitment to his family and working endeavours and future business endeavours than he is, unfortunately, to be on a racetrack. So he's opted to leave the class as well. So that means the number 3 of Sloane Frost has become the new number 1. And we've got a few others, of course, to find out. Here we are with the run along the straight for the final time. No slipstream advantage for that one. And Sloane Frost will do it ahead of Scott Moyer, ahead of John Ross. Brilliant to see they had the lapper in there as well. And the lap advantage, the fastest was Sloane Frost way back in lap number 8. That was lap 20, covered the margin. 0.26 back to second place for Sloane, and overall back to 0.46, half a second to John Ross. As we go to Andrew Stroud, Tony Reeves, Toby Summers, Jake Lewis, Alistair Hugenbosom, James Smith, and should be then James Hugenbosom. There he is on the M1 Motorsport BMW to come home then in 10th place.